Hey, welcome to Slice of Life, where faith meets the everyday. I'm James, and each podcast I invite someone to dive into the moments that shape us, challenge us, and draw us closer to Christ. From coffee shop conversations to carpool reflections, we're talking about real life and the spiritual truths that help us live it well. So grab your slice of time and let's grow together. Well, hey, we're here, Pastor Maria and myself, and we're gonna talk about maybe a touchy subject for some, right? So let me just set the groundwork here. We're not extremists in any point, but we believe that there are angels and there are demons, and that's what we're going to talk about is the spiritual battle that we're facing, and it is October, so it's a perfect opportunity to talk about darkness, and that's really I'll just share my personal. I hate October. I've never enjoyed it. It's just dark. It's creepy. There's so much celebration of darkness around. In fact, I've noticed recently, and I don't know if people just have a ton of extra money, but around us, all we see are these massive skeletons, huge spiders, just darkness everywhere. Our neighbor just hung up a couple of, I don't know, dead people. I don't know, in cloaks, and I've been waiting for my dog to freak out as she's walking by, which is interesting. She won't walk by the house anymore, right? And so I'm like, hey, even my dog knows that darkness is not something you mess with, where she used to go around there. So I kind of want to talk about that. And I think Maria, you've got a really cool perception on this because you spent time in Haiti.
Yep.
And I think in America, we've really made demonology, spiritual stuff pretty cute.
Very cute.
It's good, right? It's innocent, all of our characters that. But I think when you go overseas, I'll share a story about Liberia, Africa, but I kind of want to talk about that. Not only just Haiti, but just a general concept of what this looks like, because we're told in the Word that light and darkness have nothing to do with each other.
Right.
Don't be unequally yoked, right? And this concept of that, what does light and darkness have to do together? And yet, as Christians, I know so many that engage in darkness, and they say things like, well, it's funny, or it doesn't bother me.
It's just a story.
Right.
Just a movie.
But isn't that weird that it doesn't bother them?
Maybe they haven't prayed about it yet.
Oh, we're supposed to pray about things?
Well, we have to work out our own, whatever
salvation, fear, and trembling.
Or people are convicted of different things.
Right.
But typically, if you say, well, why do you do that? Oh, because I like it. Well, have you prayed about it? Their answer is going to be no.
No, right. And so they're sitting in, and I think like movie theaters, so often there's trailers. We're there to see just a funny movie, and all of a sudden, especially now in the October, September, even August now, there are some creepy trailers, and I'm just like sitting there, eyes closed. I begin to pray because I'm just uncomfortable.
Yeah, they've gotten really bad, even, like for kids.
Yeah,
we'll take the kids it doesn't have to be Halloween, but even Christmas time, it's like a cartoon movie, right?
Yeah,
and something will come on, and we'll be like, close your eyes, tuck your head down, plug your ears, because it doesn't pertain to them.
Well, as a kid, I grew up in a household that didn't celebrate Halloween. In our church, it did what a lot of churches did. They had a harvest festival
party
or something like that was going on, and we went from church to church there for a while. And I remember like one Halloween, it was the first time we ever went to the movies. I grew up pretty poor, but she's like, my mom was like, we gotta get out of the house, right? Because we don't want people coming to our door and that whole thing. And so we would get out of the house, go to the movies, or we go to the harvest festivals and play games and do the whole thing. And the whole plan was to kind of get out of that world. And even as we got older, it never was something for me that I ever celebrated, and even as a pastor, we did trunk or treats for a little bit. And then when we pastored in South Chicago, we would do like a trunk or treat concept. And our goal was it was interesting. Our goal was to get the kids off the street, because in South Chicago, it's violent, right?
Yeah.
There's shootings every single day. So we wanted to give like an opportunity for kids to get off, out of the streets, but we realized it didn't help them.
Yeah.
They were still trick-or-treating and then just coming to our stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, then what are we doing? What was your childhood like?
We didn't celebrate it. I remember a couple times going to like a church harvest party, but maybe only once or twice. And then we would also go out. So we would go out to dinner or something because we just didn't want the people knocking on the doors, and I don't know. It never bothered me. I know it bothers some people like, well, I didn't get to experience the candy and the dressing up or whatever, but
I got plenty of candy whether I did it or not.
I mean, and we always had a nice dinner with our parents, so like it was a nice little family night or whatever. It didn't necessarily bother me.
Yeah.
But it also wasn't quite as commercialized as it is now.
You made your
costume,
That's very true.
It wasn't like you were going all out like some people do. Like you said, my neighborhood's the same, but growing up, you didn't see, maybe people would put out some pumpkins or some lights or a few, like a witch or something. But like, people now are just all out.
Well, even the pumpkins, that's a funny one because I think pumpkins are interesting because I actually do enjoy carving pumpkins.
Yeah.
But as kind of as an artistic type thing, we don't even put them out. But what I enjoy most is the pumpkin pie that comes out of it later on. But anyways, and the pumpkin seeds, right? But I look at that. Even as a kid, I never carved pumpkins.
We did not either,
because that was just something you definitely didn't do.
Yeah, it was associated with Halloween.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There wasn't this, and so like you go to our house now. You're not going to see any carved pumpkins, but we have pumpkins everywhere.
Yeah.
Because my wife loves to decorate.
For fall. Yeah.
Right. So it's out there. And I think you're right. I mean, we look and it's absolutely everywhere, I think the darkness has gotten darker because I think back, like I remember, do you remember this Charlie Brown? It's a great pumpkin.
Great pumpkin.
It's a great pumpkin.
Something.
Right.
Yes.
Charlie Brown. Maybe it's just a great pumpkin, Charlie Brown. That was like the one show that was on that celebrated kind of Halloween. And that concept, right? It's Charlie Brown. But now it's utter darkness. I don't think they play that one anymore. It's probably too timid.
Probably.
There's not enough scary stuff about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but so I think when we look at that whole idea of not only Halloween, but I think darkness throughout. We're talking about evil. We're talking about the whole idea of we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities. So, you want to share just a little bit about Haiti and what is that? What that's about?
Yeah. So, going to Haiti, when you first step foot there, you can definitely feel spiritual darkness. Well, it's not so much darkness, but that there's a huge difference between the darkness and the light.
Right.
Because the people who are Christians have nothing, but yet they worship God better than most Americans ever would.
Now, let me stop you there just for people that don't know. You didn't just visit.
No.
You lived in Haiti.
Yes, I lived in Haiti for 5 years. Yeah. So I went there to work.
So she has some knowledge. Like this is not like, oh, I showed up for a week and left.
That's true. I should have said that. Yeah, it was 5 years I lived there at an orphanage that I worked at. But when I first stepped off the plane, like the very first time I arrived there, you could just feel that there's a darkness happening in the country. And they had, I don't remember if it was like 200 years before, 100 years before, basically dedicated their country to Satan.
Right.
They did a whole government, like a celebration. We're going to dedicate our country to Satan. And voodoo,
was it like voodoo? Okay. Yeah.
The voodoo is very present.
So we're talking witch doctors. And all,
Yes. And what I experienced from a witch doctor was more of like, again, kind of packaged differently, but it was like, what do you call that? Like holistic healthcare.
Right.
So instead of going to the doctor, they would go to a witch doctor and here, mix up some brew and drink it. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
They believed in putting curses on each other. So in Haiti, it is considered a fourth world country.
Yeah.
Not third world, fourth world. Extreme poverty.
Yeah.
I think the unemployment rate when I was there was like 80%, and it's probably more than that now.
Yeah. Wow.
So, but when you go into their cemeteries, they have these amazing, beautiful mausoleums that look like little houses made out of cement. I mean, better than any house that they live in.
Right.
Because they believe that the better your tombstone or your grave is, then the better your afterlife experience to be.
Wow.
Which is just crazy. They have nothing, but they're going to put all their money into what they think their afterlife should be.
Yeah.
So just things like that. I experienced Mardi Gras one time and only one time alone
Yeah.
because I didn't realize what it was.
Right.
I think Poppy was with me, that's my husband, and I met him there. We were in the downtown area, and we were there during the day, but there's just like beads everywhere.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks those are cute, and
Right.
and
Right.
where is it?
New Orleans.
Yeah, there we go. That has the Mardi Gras beads and all that stuff, but no, they represent things.
Yeah.
And there are lots of pendants and just weird things. And I was like, this is weird. I'm uncomfortable with this.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can tell you lots of crazy stories that I heard, things that I experienced. One guy, we had some guards that worked at the orphanage, and he had to be like 17 or 18 years old. And this kid was complaining about how his side was hurting. And I kept telling him his name was Kinder. I'm like, you have to go to the hospital. Go get that checked out.
Right.
He's like, no, didn't believe in hospitals. He went to a witch doctor.
Yeah.
He died.
Yeah.
Of appendicitis.
Wow.
Like, you could have went to the doctor and had your appendix taken out. But he was so against that because of his belief that voodoo was going to heal him. Voodoo was going to take care of him. The witch doctor would take care of him. And I guess for me, it opened my eyes to things that here in America we think are cute or, not a big deal. The story I like to tell is that I grew up on good Disney.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Good.
Cinderella, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast.
Yep.
My two favorites were The Little Mermaid and Aladdin. And again, it's the music. I am just attracted to the music. Yeah. And so we're in Haiti.
Don't worry, I won't sing. They're all the songs are in my head right now,
we had 30 kids. Yeah. And so just introducing them to different movies, and of course they have to be clean. They can't be anything, have any kind of language or anything in them. And so I'm just like, oh, they've never seen any of these Disney movies, right?
Yeah.
So we put on The Little Mermaid. Now at this time I'm probably like 22.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. And as I'm watching it, I'm going, oh, she's a witch. Oh, yeah. Ursula's actually a witch.
Yeah.
Like as a kid, she's bad. And she has some kind of power because she gives Ariel legs.
Right.
But I'm like, oh,
she's a creepy octopus
actually
thingy.
a witch. And she's actually making them sign a contract for their soul.
Right.
So I'm just like fast forwarding that part,
Yep.
She's singing. I'm like, oh, wait, we're going to fast forward this. And you get to the end where she, turns the dad into a worm too. And you see all those like worms that she's got. I'm like, she has their souls.
Yeah.
And in that moment, it hit me as like, oh my goodness, this is spiritual.
Yeah.
They can't watch this.
Right. And all these kids who probably have experienced or know of that concept of selling your soul.
Yeah.
Right. Because again, what you're saying, like the whole country was sold.
Yes.
To Satan.
And most of the kids, so I think you said Africa is the same, or was it Romania? It's the same way, is that they're not orphans because they don't have parents.
Right.
They're orphans because they're like the last of 10 kids and they can't take care of any more kids.
Right.
So a lot of them came to us not as babies, but maybe as like anywhere from maybe 4 to 10 years of age. Yeah. 4 years old in Haiti is like a 13-year-old. Yeah. They already know everything.
Right.
About everything, and they've seen all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And so all of these kids had definitely experienced some kind of voodoo. One of them, I think his dad or grandfather was actually a witch doctor. Yeah. Keener, which is my sister's husband, was just telling me, we were just having this conversation, that his village had a witch doctor, and that like a couple times a year, the witch doctor would come and like give food to all the families. Yeah. But his mom and dad always said, no, thank you.
Right.
Like they knew that it wasn't right.
Yeah.
But so they've all had experience with that.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so I was watching that and I'm like, oh boy. And then the other one that's along the same line is when we came back from Haiti. So now I'm married to Poppy. We have Vincent, Regina, and at the church we were at, they did a drive-in movie for the kids. They all decorated these cardboard boxes like cars and sat
cool.
in them.
Yeah.
It was really a cool thing. But they did The Lion King. Yeah. Yeah, I've only seen that movie once because I hate that movie. Yeah. It's like, it's sad. So why would I watch that again?
I'm like, how can you hate The Lion King? But I get you.
I've seen it one time. I've seen it on Broadway a couple times. But like,
incredible. Right.
It's amazing. Yeah. But the movie itself, so I'm just like, ugh, they picked a dumb movie because I don't like the movie. Yeah. But Poppy comes in and he goes, what are they watching? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, that monkey, I forget his name. You know, like I said, I've only seen it once, is doing
Rafiki.
voodoo. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a witch doctor.
Yeah.
He's doing voodoo.
Yeah.
He's painting the stuff on the walls and all that. Poppy was like, what is he doing? No.
Yeah.
So he our kids got up. I was just like, well, we'll just come out for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we send him back in once,
right.
everything. But I was like, yeah, I never thought of that before.
Yeah. Well, I've had a conversation with Poppy a couple times, and yeah, he has a total different look.
He hates Halloween.
At it.
Hate.
But you can understand it because
Yeah.
he's seen the actual side of it, right? And I think that's the struggle with America is we've only seen the pretty side of it or
Yeah.
what we think. And yet behind the scenes, the darkness is still real.
Mhm.
The darkness is still doing stuff. The word tells us that the enemy disguises himself as a creature of light.
Yeah.
And which is, I think, exactly what is going on in our cute Christian world.
Yeah.
We don't think it's darkness, but it's darkness disguised as light.
Yep.
And so Poppy being able to be on that side of things and to sees it on this side and goes, okay, I'm not getting fooled by this.
Yeah.
And obviously we're not saying that, they're Lion King and all that stuff are bad.
Right.
But I think it's for us to be aware of this is real. And as parents educating our kids on, we don't mess with this stuff.
Yeah.
Also,
someone created it. That's what I always like to point out about even when it comes to scary movies. Like the one I like to use is that Alien movie, which I've never seen, but I know what the alien looks like.
Yeah.
Which is really creepy.
Right.
Where did it come from?
Yeah.
Somebody's mind.
Yeah.
Well, God didn't create that picture in that person's mind who drew that for the first time.
Yeah.
So what did?
Yeah.
An evil spirit.
Yes.
Because that's not anything godly.
Yeah. Right. Well, I heard a great sermon a couple of weeks ago. I was actually in Romania. It was you. Yeah.
Whatever.
And what did you say about fear? Right.
That it's not of God.
It's not of God.
Yeah.
God didn't create fear, right? He's not given fear. So he wouldn't create something that causes fear in us. I think that's such a great point. So when we're people, I had this argument with so many people, Pastor, I love horror movies. It's funny. It doesn't creep me out. Again, what you're looking at something that instills fear. It's supposed to instill fear. Therefore, it is definitely not of God.
Yeah.
There is no God in that. I don't care that you're laughing. Well, it's causing fear everywhere else.
And mine is just more like
stuff.
Where did it come from?
Yeah.
That's what I try to tell people, to dig a little deeper. Like, who came up with the idea of a person who's going to go around killing people with, scissor hands or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, it's an original idea, but it's not.
Right.
So where did it come from?
Yeah,
not God.
Some clown in a sewer or any
killing
of those,
kids,
right?
Like, where did that come from? Yes, it was someone who wrote that story, but they didn't just come up with that of their own accord. Just like everything that we do, when you write a sermon, that is very specific to you. You own that. Nobody else is going to write one like you.
Right.
But where did it come from?
Yeah. Well, it's not me, right? Because it's
you wrote it.
Yeah.
You put onto paper what you've studied and what God has shown you, and you recognize that it's God who showed it to you.
Right.
But if I'm writing a creepy story that came into my mind, it came from somewhere. Right. So where did it come from?
Yes.
That's what I like to try to point people is like, well, it might not scare you, but where did that originate from?
Yeah. Yeah, which begs the question again as a Christian, if that's what you're dealing with, you're dealing in darkness.
Yeah.
Because again, that cannot come from God. It would not have come from God.
Right.
He's not an author of chaos, right? He's not an author of evil and none of that. And yet I subject myself to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I don't get. So I had a story in Liberia that I found interesting. We were in Liberia, West Africa, a very poor nation, just like what you're talking about, kind of the birthplace of Ebola. And we were going to a church in a village. And so we were walking in pretty long ways, and we walked in. And so we're at the church, and I was working all day doing stuff, and we were going to have a service the next day. And so we come back for the service the next day. And in the middle of worship, this young girl, maybe 4, I don't know, age-wise, she walks in and she's all in white, like dust white, right? So she just has shorts on or whatever, and nothing else, and just all dusted in white. And so I lean over to the orphanage director. I'm like, hey, what's that about? What's going on? And his response was, well, she's the girl that's been dedicated this year to the village demon. So we're singing like "How Great Is Our God," whatever song it was. She's singing "How Great Is Our God," but they all recognize, the village recognizes that they had dedicated this girl to the local village demon.
That's crazy.
It's insanity. And I began to ask him, like, what's going on? I said, well, this is normal. It's because as Christianity's been introduced, they've not been able to break away from that fear of the darkness that they've been in their whole entire life.
Yeah.
Right. And so the one way most villages, they dedicate a girl every year. And that's, it's like, do they kill her? They're like, no,
for that girl.
They don't kill her, thankfully, but she's known for the rest of her life as the one dedicated to the demon, the local village demon. That mixture, and it's blatant there, but I think in America it's behind the scenes. I think we do the same thing, right? We compromise on certain capabilities or certain functions, how we live and the things we allow in our homes.
Yeah.
Where we don't, and you said it earlier, I loved it. You're like, we don't pray about it. We have it in our home, or we go and watch it, or we do it, but we never pray and go, hey, God, is this something that you really want me to watch or listen to or read or whatever that might be? They just did it out in the open.
Right.
But
it's more hidden.
Ours are hidden.
Yeah.
Our daughters that are dedicated to demons, obviously we don't do that, but that same concept of what do we allow our kids to do? What do we do ourselves?
Yeah.
I think we've masked all that. So it's not overt. I mean, it's subvert, right? It's behind the scenes. And I think we have to be cautious about that.
Yeah.
Because it is real.
It is real.
You have a cool story about Haiti. I mean, it's not a cool story. It's a scary story.
Yeah.
But I think I'd love you to share it, because I think, again, we say so often in America, this stuff is not real. But I think in Haiti or these other countries where it's accepted, maybe, I don't know if that's the right word, where it's just a normal thing.
Yeah.
That the demons aren't hiding.
No.
I think that's the thing. They're hiding here. They're still working.
Are they hiding, or just are we not seeing them?
Yeah.
Or are we not aware?
Right. Well, I think
that's what changed for me in Haiti.
Yeah, they're more
awareness.
They're more light.
Yeah.
I think here, right? They kind of disguise themselves a little bit more, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just think that we're walking around unaware of it.
Yeah.
In America.
Right.
Is because we've never experienced, for the most part, most of us who've gone to church, and I'm just talking about, Christian people, have never maybe experienced a so-called dark moment, or maybe never come in contact with someone who was oppressed or possessed.
Right.
And so we don't know what that even looks like.
Yeah. Now, I've had those moments in there, and we just actually experienced one, and we'll get to your story, but this might be interesting, because we were in Walt Disney World, or maybe Universal Studios. That's where it was. And there's all Harry Potter stuff there.
Yeah.
Right. And so my daughters love Harry Potter. And they wanted to go on the ride. So we're walking through and in the line. And I will tell you personally, it took me about 20 minutes of being in that, and I had to leave. Mm-hmm. I was like, I just can't handle this. And they're like, Dad, are you okay? I said, I can't breathe. I wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. But I found, and I'm not saying anything about my daughters or my wife who even stayed, but it was just like, I've been praying even that day, like, God help me through some of the things that we had been dealing with just as a family and just in normal life. Like, God, I just want to know you more. That had been my prayer, as we had, because I had a lot of time praying in lines at Walt Disney World, right? So I'd been praying like, God, show me yourself. And it was like in that moment, I was like, man, I just felt cut off.
Mm-hmm.
you know, like that whole breath thing. And people are probably like, oh, you're just, you know, over dramatic. But if you know me, I'm not over dramatic, you know, that I could not breathe. I had to leave. And the minute I got out, I had to get out of the Harry Potter world. And there was a bridge. And I remember the minute I crossed over the bridge into the other land, I don't remember what that was. I was better.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm not going back that direction. So I texted my wife and said, hey, I'm over here on the bridge, you know, looking at the fish. You guys come get me. I'll be good from that point. But I think it's it's there. It's here.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just.
But we're not paying attention. We're not looking for it.
We don't recognize it when we see it. Yeah. Harry Potter's an interesting one because, of course, we don't do that in our family. We don't watch it. Don't read the books or anything. But I think sometimes as a parent, but then also we like to sometimes just say, well, I'm protecting my kids, but you need to protect yourself as well.
Right.
But I do. Sometimes I'll just start like researching things, and the writer, it's the J.K. Rowling, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
She's not like, she doesn't beat around the bush that she uses actual real spells in those movies. So I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I don't know what that spell is. I don't know what it's claiming or going to put into my house. So no, we're not doing that.
Because it's real. And I think so, like I say my daughters love it, but guess what? They didn't love it till they were adults.
Yeah.
Right? Because at adults at that point, I'm like, I don't have any control over you guys. You guys make that decision.
Yep.
You know, but it was until that point that they decided to go in that. And I'm still talking to them saying, guys, this is real. You know, this is something. So I think, we got to figure that out. I love that. Protect yourself as well.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not in my house. I don't allow it in my house.
Right.
Right.
You just have to be careful about what you let in. It was the verse I was looking up about, but like, you know, the Bible says the things that are pure, lovely, to think on those things, because whatever you're putting in is what comes out.
Yeah.
Even if you say, well, I'm not scared. You know, scary movies don't scare me. I can watch Saw and it's gross and horror and gore, but it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
First of all, I would say,
check yourself.
Why doesn't it bother you? That's a little weird because, you know, this is not normal. But also, what are you feeding into your brain?
Right.
Because it's going to come out, whether that's in the dreams, whether it's in changing your thinking to where, oh, I can watch somebody's, you know, fingers be chopped off one by one and it doesn't bother me anymore.
Right.
Well, that probably should bother you.
Yeah.
Because that's not normal. It's not, you know, it's weird. For
a Christian, it should be odd that we see any darkness and be comfortable in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Any horrific, gruesome type of thing.
Yeah.
It should bother us.
Not that, I mean, and it's been around for forever.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the Assyrians were really well known in the Bible for being gruesome.
Right.
They would, you know, impale the people on the poles.
Yeah.
And all that, like, did all kinds of crazy stuff. And that's also interesting. My dad always tells me, don't think that just because you can't see something that's mentioned in the Bible that it's not here. People are the same.
Right.
They've always been the same.
Yep.
Everything that was then is now.
Yeah.
So to look back and say, well, you know, people don't act like that anymore, or they don't sacrifice children to God. Yeah, they do.
They do.
It's called abortion.
Yeah.
If you want to get into that. But, you know, there are countries that they're doing this stuff.
Yes.
Like you said, dedicating kids to demons. And just because, you know, we don't, let me back that up. In America, the way that we sacrifice children is abortion.
Yeah.
It's not to a God on an altar.
Right.
And that's where I think America's different, is that they've kind of just changed everything to package it a little differently.
Right.
So that you don't think, oh, well, that's what that is.
Yeah.
You know? We don't think about angels and demons moving around. The Bible said that there's principalities and powers in the air. That's who we're fighting against, not each other, not flesh and blood.
Right.
But when you think
although we're good at that in America.
Really good at that.
Flesh and blood in America. That's all we do. Everybody's evil. But what we don't realize is there are principalities, powers, demons, and angels in the air.
Working.
Right?
And what does that look like?
All the time. Yeah.
I tell my kids, I remember for a long time, I need to talk to Regina about this again. We haven't talked about it recently, but I always used to tell them, you know, there's, you know, you have a guardian angel that's protecting you, or God is, you know, we're looking out for you. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah, you know, I believe that. Like, God has angels that work for you. And sometimes there's been times in your life, maybe you've been protected and you don't even know about it, you know, and more spiritual too. but just like when you pray that's powerful and angels or God can intervene on your behalf,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so she used to pray all the time that God would let her see an angel.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
you can pray that prayer.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If that helps you believe that
Right.
God is working and God is moving all
Yeah.
the time, then pray for that.
How cool.
Yeah. I mean, that
How
would be awesome.
cool
Like,
would
God,
that
let me
be?
see that.
I loved, we just went to that tabernacle thing, and
Yeah.
I did love this lady was explaining the cherubim and what they look like, and
Mhm.
that they're not these, girly
Cute
figures.
little.
They are
Cupids.
beastly, really tough,
Mhm.
right? And so, yeah, I think it'd be awesome to see an angel,
Yeah. But we just have become so used to not thinking about that
Yeah.
that's happening all the time.
Right. All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
You know?
And these thoughts and these things that are going on so often is that
Mhm.
direction. We see these strange individuals and we're like, how could they do that? Well, yeah, they did it, but guaranteed they didn't think of it.
Right.
They didn't think of killing a bunch of people or just walking up, stabbing somebody.
Exactly.
Right. There is something behind that. It's demonic. And it's, that they've allowed themselves, they've invited, I remember growing up, like, my mom was like, never touch a Ouija board. Mom, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Like why would I ever invite anything like that into my
Yeah,
world?
that's what you're doing.
And yet today, we got to get to your story of Haiti
Okay.
though. But today, man, I know a lot of Christians that follow horoscopes,
Yeah.
right? They follow mediums. They follow all this. I know some Christians that follow prophets who are not prophets.
Mhm. The crystals is
Right.
the big thing right now.
Yeah, right.
The
It just,
crystals.
you look at that and go, what in the world are you doing?
Yeah.
Because again, it's in the form of light, but it's not. The Bible actually says, suffer the witch not to live in the Old Testament. That's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
But there was a reason,
Right.
because they realized the witch is not going to God for her or his power,
Nope.
right? The insight, he's going to demons,
Yeah.
right? And so, we see that. And so some churches have begun to package this, right, in the form of light, but it's really darkness.
Mhm.
Because how do I know? Well, I know because they're not honoring God with it.
Right.
It's honoring
Yep.
self, right? And so the minute you honor self, you're not honoring God. So anything that doesn't honor God is darkness, right?
Right.
And so, you look, go, well, what are you talking about? I said, I'm talking about churches that don't honor God with what they're doing. They're honoring themselves or individuals,
Yeah.
that, they're able to do all these prophecy schools, all these other things. You look at them like the fruit of all of that, it's not honoring to God.
Right.
It's honoring to self.
Yep.
And so when it goes there, then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I'm dealing in darkness.
Yeah.
It's subvert. It's just so underneath the radar.
It is.
But it's there.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll get to Haiti because
The
I
Haiti
want
story?
I want you to share this one because I think when you shared it the first time I heard it, it was one of those things like I hope no one ever has to experience it, but I think everyone needs to understand they've probably already experienced it,
Probably.
but not like
We just
you
didn't
have.
see
Like
it.
because again, it's kind of behind the scenes a
Yeah.
little bit more. It's not out there
Yeah.
in public. So go ahead.
Okay, I'll try to do the short version. So basically, I worked at this orphanage and I'd had like a particularly difficult day with the kids, and I was telling the pastor who worked there about that, and he said to me, and it was probably within like the first 3 months that I had been there.
Yeah.
It was a short time. And he said, wow, Satan is really working overtime to get you to go home. And me being kind of dumb
Yeah.
said out loud, well, he's going to have to do a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
Which, you
You're-
got to be
you're-
careful what you say.
You're an American, so like, yeah.
I said
right.
it out loud. It wasn't inside. So
Yep.
that night I went to bed, and because we had some issues, and there's some dangers, but not a lot. But
Yeah.
I had an upstairs apartment. I had 2 doors, a front door and a back door. They were steel doors that were bolted in the floor and also in the middle.
Yeah. Wow.
And then you also had another like storm door that was bolted. So, and then the kids were bolted in their house from the inside, the outside. So I'm sleeping, and in the middle of the night, I wake up, and one of the kids who had been bothering me earlier that day was crouched at the end of my bed.
Yeah.
with this creepy.
Again, everything's locked, like
everything
double,
is locked.
triple locked, right?
Yeah, and this creepy smile. I really don't know how to describe it. I don't know that I did so well describing it when I shared it in the sermon, but just I don't know, just like a creepy, gleaming, almost like bluish white smile. And I threw my pillow at him, and then sat there, and I was just trying to think, okay, logically, I am 100% awake. I'm not dreaming.
Right.
There's no way this kid can be in my room because I'm locked in, he's locked in. And it also, when I threw my pillow, it just kind of like dissipated.
Yeah.
Like into thin air.
And the pillow's that's a deadly weapon.
Very deadly.
Right? So,
and so I was like, oh my goodness, I saw a demon.
Yeah. Right.
Because it represented this kid was a troublemaker the entire time.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure he was the one whose dad or somebody was a witch doctor. But so that night I had a hard time going back to sleep. But from that day for 8 years, I had a fear problem.
Right.
I mean, I say I was a slave to fear because that's what I believe.
Yeah.
I just couldn't sleep well by myself. And when we came back to America, Poppy worked second shift. I would stay up till he got home till 2 in the morning or whatever because I just couldn't. It was more than just, oh, my husband's away, so I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'd have panic attacks. I would, and not just thinking like, what's that noise, but thinking like someone's going to break in, like the worst things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And rob me, rape me,
right,
kill me, kidnap my kids, like the worst thoughts.
Yeah.
For 8 years. And I never really shared it with anybody because, I was in ministry and I just kind of tried to deal with it on my own. And I did pray and I did read, my Bible and quote scripture or whatever. And some nights were better than others, but really I just had a night where I got really fed up.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm done with this. Like, I just got mad.
Yeah.
Like, this is ridiculous. I'm a grown woman. And like, really, I'm just going to spend every night in fear. And I just, and I shared in the sermon that, yes, I knew the Bible and I knew to pray, but I forgot who I was.
Yeah.
Which was that I am a daughter of God.
Right.
And I have the power in me to get rid of this thing.
Yeah.
And so I just called it out, like, in the name of Jesus, get out of my room, get out of my life, and don't ever come back. I don't want to see you again.
Right.
And so I was delivered that night.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I didn't ever face it ever again.
Right.
But I know what it is now. So it starts to come back. I'm like, no, get out.
It didn't surprise you anymore.
Yeah, I already tossed you out. But it's interesting because my sister saw a demon in Haiti as well.
Yeah.
And hers was crawling on the ceiling, this is creepy. But and she said it was like furry looking, like a furry kind of creeped across the ceiling and then it was gone.
Yeah.
So, and I know other people who have experienced things like that. I don't know if it's just that the atmosphere is more open to experiencing them or seeing them.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Or that you're more aware. Like I said, the second I stepped into Haiti, I was more aware of, there is a battle between good and evil that's happening like all the time.
Well, I think missions trips, and I know yours wasn't a mission trip because you stayed, but I think when you get into another country, another culture, especially a culture that's so different than our own, as Christians, what I found is that I rely on God a lot more. And I think my spiritual sensors go up because I realize, man, I'm in a place I don't know how anything's going to work. So I've been in Romania 5 or 6 years now, and I still am praying continually as I'm driving, as I'm going around, because I'm just in a whole different world.
Yeah.
I never know what's going to happen, what's going to go on. So I think, definitely when a foreigner goes into another area, I think your sensitivity probably kicks up a notch.
Yeah.
But it's the reliance on God.
Yeah.
Becomes a lot greater because you realize, hopefully as a Christian, wow, I really can't do this. I'm unable to function on my own.
Yeah.
You're a white American lady in Haiti.
Yeah.
There's probably weren't a whole bunch of you there.
No.
Right. So,
I was the only one at the time. And I share that story, or I shared it in church about fear, dealing with fear. But I also think that it's important that now, as I continue on in my life, when things happen, I can pray and say, okay, God, show me what's really going on here.
Yes.
Okay, so there's, a kerfuffle happening, or these people aren't getting along, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, what is really going on?
Yeah.
You know, this is what I see with my physical eyes, but help me see it
Yeah.
in the spiritual world.
Is there about in the book of Daniel? Actually, it's an interesting story talking about an angel coming and like saying, "Hey, I've been restricted because I've been battling to come here."
Yeah.
Right. And you kind of read that, and we just kind of leave that there. Well, it's a perfect picture of what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Is that there is a battle going on in the spiritual realm, wrestling not against flesh and blood, but principalities, powers, and so that means the situations I deal with, that there might be something much greater going on
Yeah.
than I don't realize.
Not always. I mean,
Right.
you've got those people that are
Yep.
quick to say everything's a demon.
No.
Not everything's a demon. But
No. We had a podcast. I think Stephanie and I did one where like devil burnt my toast.
yeah.
the
Not
devil
everything,
did not
but-
burn your toast, right? He didn't.
Right.
He didn't. I heard a comedian the other day saying, that Satan is not assigning a demon there to tempt you with pumpkin pie.
Right.
Like just he's got bigger stuff to worry about. But on the other hand,
Mm-hmm.
bringing disunity, division,
Right.
any of that. So here's the thought. I was thinking as you're talking, because this is an interesting question or maybe thought. I don't know. Can Christians be possessed by a demon?
My
Or-
answer
okay.
is emphatically no.
Yes. Right. But
if I'm a Christian,
Yeah.
like an actual
yes.
Christian,
Yeah.
filled with the Holy Spirit. So
Right,
when I got
right.
saved,
Yep.
I was filled with the Holy Spirit. I do not believe that the Holy Spirit and an evil spirit can reside in the same temple.
Right. Right.
Now, I was oppressed.
There we go.
Right,
Okay.
which was like my
Yep.
mind was just constantly a battleground
right.
of what was going on, and I needed to strengthen. I needed to remember who I was to be
Yeah.
able to take those thoughts captive and say,
Yeah.
"No, I'm not going to listen to you.
Right.
Get out." But like, it was not a possession of the spirit came inside of
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I do not believe there's like this old. I've heard it so many times in church about like if you pray for somebody
Yeah.
who is possessed
Yeah.
and you cast out the spirit, watch your back out on your way out the door. And I'm
Right.
like, what are you talking about?
Why? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
If I am filled with the Holy Spirit, I'm not going to be filled with another spirit. They can't
Right.
reside together. But
Exactly.
yes, they can absolutely. You
Yeah.
can be oppressed.
And I think I wanted to bring that question up because I think it's good to understand that, right? So yeah, we're not possessed, because if you are possessed by a demon, then you got to check your Christianity, because you're
Yeah.
right. But the oppression thing is real,
Very.
and I think it's in Ephesians that Paul writes and says, hey, you were once part of the kingdom of darkness. Now you're part of the kingdom of light. Walk as children of light. And this light is, again, this idea that where there's light, there is no darkness.
Yeah.
Darkness must flee from that. And you said it so well, because it's that moment of remembering who I am.
Mm-hmm.
The oppression hit because you didn't remember who you are and the authority that you have. Jesus said, all the authority I have, I've given unto you, right? And forgetting, for so much of us, forgetting that all authority has been given to me because God is in me.
Right.
Right. I'm now a carrier of light. Paul says the same. Another thing, he says, put on the armor of light. Why? Because so we can fight against darkness. That darkness must flee.
Yeah.
But we can be oppressed, and I think a lot of people are. I think depression, anxiety. I think this is where people cut me off. I think they're demonic oppression.
They are.
In my opinion, right? And so many are. If I just give you this pill, and I know that some people have chemical imbalances. I get that. I'm talking about everyone else. It's never been tested, right? And these things happen. Seasons where they're more depressed than others. I think it's demonic oppression that's setting on individuals, and we have to realize who we are. And I think that's how we fight it. And to your point of claiming victory over that,
Yep.
because the victory is already ours. It says that He's crowned us with victory, right? That idea of crowning is the idea of victory over every circumstance, over situation.
Yeah.
Right. So you did exactly what you were to do. It just took you 8 years.
It took me a while.
Right.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I think there's people today that's been a lot longer, and they're still dealing with. And again, in America, we've made it easy. I just take a pill.
Right.
And that pill is going to help you out, or
Yeah.
just do this, and this will help you out.
Or just I have to live
right?
with it. That's what I was trying to challenge people. Is like, well, I'm just anxious. I'm just an anxious person. That's just my personality. So that's just who I am.
Yeah.
Or, I was looking at it as, well, this is God testing you. Or, no, he's not going to use evil things to test you.
That's right.
God doesn't tempt us.
Right.
He's not the tempter.
He
tests us in things that we go through, difficulties that we walk through. But, like, he's not going to harm us in any way.
You're right. Exactly.
Mentally to do that. But, yeah, and bringing it back to what we originally started out this podcast with too, is that if I am dealing with fear or anxiety, probably the last thing that you want to do is watch a horror movie.
Right. Feed it.
I mean,
right?
Yeah. There was a time during that fear issue that I was watching Forensic Files regularly. I still love that show.
Okay.
I mean, right? There's nothing bad. It's like real life cases that have been solved in amazing ways.
Yeah.
But I was watching like 2 or 3 every night or every day or whatever. And then I'm starting to freak out even more all the time. Or like looking at they're following me. Every car's following me, and every person in the grocery store parking lot wants to kidnap me. And then I was like, it's that stupid show. Like it wasn't bad. It wasn't anti-God or anything, but what am I putting constantly into my mind?
Right.
And so if you're a fearful person, anxious, depressed, like the last thing you should be doing is participating in watching a horror movie, because that's just going to feed it more. Yeah.
Ephesians 4, right? You said it. Whatever's lovely, whatever's good, whatever, right? All of those.
Yeah.
It never says whatever's ugly, whatever's gruesome.
Right.
Watch all that stuff. It do the opposite. Think about the good things of life. Think about God. Think about good relationships. The flowers of the field.
Yeah.
But you're right. We feed ourselves, and that's what bothers me so much about this time frame. Is I feel like we gorge ourselves on evil.
Yep.
Right. And to the point where it just becomes commonplace.
Yeah.
And so we go out and we drive out. And now today, when I drive home, I know what I'm going to see. I'm going to see evil everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm going to see those hanging things by my house. I'm going to see all that stuff. And I'm confronted by something I shouldn't have to be confronted by.
Right.
By Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them are Christians. My neighbor's not, but I know there are Christians that have those decoration out there. So you're actually confronting me with evil, right, in your own yard, and yet you are a Christian, right, and watching and feasting on things that we shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. I would just encourage to just start looking into where the things come from.
Right.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
It's just always, okay, well, you don't want to take my word for it or anybody else's word or Pastor James' word for it. Just start looking at where did the witches come from? Why do they dress up like ghouls for Halloween? There's an answer.
Right.
Go find it.
Right. Yeah.
Where did Halloween come from?
Exactly.
Go look and find out.
And I know people will be like, well, that was back then. But understand the origin of things and understand the design of the enemy. He wants to kill, steal, and destroy.
Right.
He wants to come in. He wants to confuse us, bring chaos. You go to Adam and Eve. What did he do? Right. He didn't come out as an evil being. He came out and said, "Hey, let me help you understand things a little bit better." Right. Did God really say that?
Yeah.
So they don't. Witches aren't that bad. Watching the horror movies, they're not that bad. It's not that bad. Well, there's one person that says that. That's the enemy.
Right.
Right. God says, hey, no, think on lovely things. Think on good things. Think on me.
Mm-hmm.
Walk as children of light. Well, children of light cannot walk in darkness.
Right.
Because darkness must flee. Right?
Yeah. Your kids might be trick-or-treating, but there's people out there, including in America, who are doing a lot of other weird things on Halloween.
Right. And subjecting them to that. That's my concern.
Yeah.
Is, again, I might have the purest intentions.
Right.
But do other people have the purest
intentions? There's nothing wrong with
No.
playing dress up.
Yeah.
And there's nothing now, I wouldn't dress my kid up like a witch or something, but dressing up is not inherently wrong.
Right.
And eating candy, I mean, hello. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it's just, where did it all come from? And what am I actually celebrating or participating in?
Yeah. I think the ultimate goal of all this, and the reason I wanted to have this conversation is God wants to fill us. Right. And he can only fill us to the capacity that we allow him to fill us.
Right.
And so anytime we have anything that's not of him, that's an area that he can't do it. And I think during this season, and that's why I wanted to do it in October, it's a season where we can actually take captive all those other things and say, I'm not going to deal with that anymore. God, invest yourself in me a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think when you make room for God, he's going to come.
That's right.
And so getting rid of darkness is never a bad thing.
That's right.
Thing. So thank you for sharing your stories. I know it's might have been interesting with you. If you have any questions, comments, some other topics that you want us to talk about, feel free to shoot us an email or a comment, and we'll look forward to talking to you guys again. Well, hey, thanks for spending a slice of your day with us. If today's conversation encouraged you, challenged you, or sparked a new thought, we'd love to hear about it. Follow us on social media to keep the conversation going, and don't be shy. Send in your comments, your questions, or even topic suggestions for future episodes. This podcast is about living out our faith in real life, and your voice helps us shape it. Until next time, keep walking with grace and keep living the life God's called you to.